Om Jnanatamrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalatam Yaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respects to my spiritual master who has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So you were continuing our reading. It's been a big purport. So we've been on this verse for a few sessions. So this is the 9th chapter entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text number 2. So we'll read the Sanskrit and the translation and then just continue on the purport. Yeah. Okay, text number 2. Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Midamuttamam Pratyaksavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam.
This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of a self by realization, it is perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it's joyful and performed. Be in the purport.
Yeah. So, before we get into the purport, so what are we after ultimately? What is it that we all want, that we have in common? Do you know we all have a common goal? What is that common goal that we all have? What do we really? What's that?
Food.
Food? Come on, Gulshan. I thought you would have gone a bit further than that.
Food. You tell me who doesn't want a food? It has to be survive. Survival is the first thing.
Okay. Well, actually, it is connected what I wanted to get to, so we can look at that. But so, what are we thinking that the food will? We want to live forever. Well, Johnny's saying we'll live forever. Okay. So that's one idea. So, but what are we ultimately wanting to get out of the food? What is it thinking that if we have the food, nice food, what are we gonna what result will that bring?
We can do a bhakti better, because if the body is okay, then you can do service, seva, bhakti, anything you can do it. But because you have to have a good body. In good body, you have to have a good food.
So we're looking in food for physical nourishment, but we are here looking at spiritual nourishment.
Okay.
What's your question again?
What do we all have in common? What do we ultimately everyone wants? So whether we're a materialist or a spiritualist, what does everyone want?
Be happy.
Johnny said she gave the answer that I was looking for, to be happy. So
how can you be happy?
See, the answer was so simple, you missed it because you're too complicated. But that's the very. What's that? Looking for food. So even looking for food, what are we wanting to get out of that food? We think we'll be happy if we have nice food. We're going to be happy. We're going to enjoy the food. Why do we take our friends out to a restaurant or invite them over for dinner? So that people can be happy. That we'll have a nice meal together and we'll be happy.
But
so ultimately,
Prabhupada says that you have to be peaceful to be happy.
Correct.
Not peaceful, you're not happy. So the main thing is how you're going to get peaceful. Not
the main thing is to be peaceful. The main thing is to be happy. But the prerequisite to being happy is to be peaceful. So to get to the happiness, you need to be peaceful. Right, so the verse you're referring to, we can look at that. That's the 2nd chapter, text 66. So this is the happiness formula in 266. So not only Gulshan has to remember 10:10, but 266.
More than 10:10.
266.
The one who is not connected with Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? How can you be there any happiness without peace. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So this is the science, the step-by-step process of how to attain happiness, which is ultimately real, just honestly speaking, everyone wants to be happy. I mean, also, why do we take to Krishna consciousness? Because we think if I become Krishna conscious, I can be happy. So in a materialist is thinking if I get more money and a bigger house and a car, I can be happy. But the goal of everyone is the same. We all want to be happy. How we're finding the happiness is different. But that's the goal. We all want to be happy. That if we can go back home, back to Godhead, and we'll live with Krishna, and we'll be happy there. So everyone wants to be happy. So here is the process of how to find happiness. So that's the goal. But to reach happiness, what do we need before we can find happiness? Is peace. And before we can find peace, what do we need? That's the question. From this verse, you don't have to think about it.
But you have to go according to the nature, whatever Krishna provide. That is in the manual. If you go without, then you gotta be not happy. If
a steady mind.
Yeah. Gulshan's thinking too much today. You just have to read the verse.
There's something there to think.
Yes, to have a steady mind. So the prerequisite for happiness is peace.
I have a steady mind.
How do you get it?
Read the verse. Read the verse. How do you get a steady mind? Read the verse.
You have transcendental knowledge, then you
And then it says you
Without
need
Krishna
transcendental
consciousness,
knowledge.
not give it.
So you need to get a steady mind, you need transcendental knowledge.
Absolutely.
And then it's saying, how do you get transcendental knowledge? Well, you need to be Krishna conscious. Because so how is that connected? How is Krishna consciousness connected with getting transcendental knowledge? Well, it says transcendental intelligence, but that's the same thing. Yeah, so transcendental. How is Krishna consciousness producing transcendental intelligence?
Because Krishna says, I'm the intelligence.
Exactly, that's it. So he's saying that he will give us the intelligence, and that's Gulshan's favorite verse, 10:10. So we can look at that.
Look at me, 10:10. It's not a 10:10, it's a 10:10. 10 of that?
10th chapter, text 10.
I better read it because she's looking very funny look to me. I better read it for her. Okay, 10:10. Yeah. Those who are constantly devoted to service me with love, I give them understanding by which they can come to me. Guarantee 100%.
Yeah, so what does Krishna consciousness mean? It's saying first you have to be Krishna conscious. That's indicated here. It means serving Krishna. If you're Krishna conscious, what does that mean? That you're conscious of what? What are you conscious of if you're Krishna conscious? What does that mean to be Krishna conscious? What are you going to be thinking? What are you going to be conscious of? You're going to be thinking, I am what? What are we? I am. Who are we? What are we supposed to be doing? What's our
soul?
Purpose?
We are part and parcel of Krishna.
Yeah, that you're going to Krishna conscious means you're thinking that you're conscious of, that you're part of Krishna. Therefore, your purpose, your duty is to serve Krishna.
I'm
just
the
like
servant,
I talked
he's
many
the
times.
master. What's the servant duty? To make
Yeah,
the
so
happy.
we and Krishna conscious means you understand Krishna's the master and I'm the servant. And the beautiful example the scriptures give, Prabhupada gives, is that just like the hand is part of the body. So therefore, what is the function of the hand is to serve the whole body. The body wants food, so the hand cooperates and puts the food in the mouth, like that. If the hand rebels and says, no, I'm not going to put food in the mouth, I'm not going to do it, then what's that? That's called a disease condition.
Depends. If I'm really hungry, I fall down the plate and lick.
Yes, I mean the body can function without the hand, but that's not going to be a good situation for the hand if the hand doesn't want to cooperate. So Prabhupada explains that our position is to cooperate with Krishna because we're part of Krishna, we're the servant of Krishna. That's why it's natural. If we say it's natural to serve Krishna, what's the logic of that? Is because we're part of Krishna. And it's natural for the part to serve the whole.
Yeah. Why do you stop me to stealing the flour from Gail? It's a natural. Krishna is the butter stealer.
Hey, Gulshan, come on. This is serious. This is serious topics.
I think
This
I
is
am.
serious topics.
Why do I feel like stealing?
No, this is serious topics. So, yeah, it's very natural. So Krishna consciousness means to understand we're the servant, Krishna's the master, so we should try to please Krishna by our activities. And we understand that if Krishna's pleased, then he'll give us the intelligence, the understanding how we can make progress. So then back to this 266, saying that if we're Krishna conscious, then from that comes steady intelligence. So yeah, Krishna will give us that steady intelligence, and that we can make further progress. And that if we get strong intelligence, we can control the mind. So how does that work? How does that work? I'm just trying to think where that verse comes. I think it's the end of the 3rd chapter. Towards the end of the 3rd chapter. Let's just try to find it on the spot.
How does it remember all that, which you don't and I don't?
Easy practice.
No, I think Krishna gave him something from top of the head, which he didn't give it to you or me.
Okay, just give me a second. Okay, yep. Text 40. 3rd chapter, text 40. Oh, no, it's not that one. No, it's not the one. That's not the one. Oh, yeah, text 42. Yeah, text 42.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul is ever higher than the intelligence.
Okay, so getting back then to 266, how does that work that you need transcendental intelligence to get a steady mind? Because the intelligence is higher than the mind. So how do you control the mind? To get a steady mind means to control the mind. So how do you control the mind? You need something higher than the mind. So then what's higher than the mind? The intelligence is higher than the mind. So you need to strengthen your intelligence. And when the intelligence is stronger, then you can subdue the mind. Then you can control the mind. Otherwise, you'll never control the mind. If you don't have strong intelligence, there's no way in hell you're ever going to be able to control the mind. The mind's always going to be thrashing us. So, and then it says there's only one thing higher than the intelligence, and that's the soul. So the soul's supposed to control the intelligence controls the mind controls the senses. How does it work in modern day materialistic life? The senses are in control. So the senses say, I want to drink beer, or the senses, I want to see a naked woman. The eyes, the eyes want to see a naked woman, the tongue wants to drink beer, and I want to hear the rock and roll music, so the ears want to hear. So you see what I mean? The senses are dictating, and then the mind just follows along. So you want to drink something, taste something, look at something, hear something, and then the mind just accepts that. Okay, yes, we have to go to the pub. Yes, we have to go to the casino, like that, because the senses are dictating. And they're the master. So this in modern day life, the senses are the masters, and everything else is a servant. So the mind is a servant of the senses. And the word for that we have is go das. Go das. Go means senses. It also means cow, but it also means senses. And das means servant. So we're a servant of the senses. But what is it supposed to be? Go swami. Goswami. So a sannyasi is called a Goswami, or a Swami for short. So that means the master of the senses. So Swami means master, Das means servant. So these are the two options. Either you learn to become a master of the senses, or you learn to be a servant of the senses. So without Krishna consciousness, we don't have the strength to be able to control the mind and the senses. And then we'll always remain a victim to the senses. And of course, what do the senses want? They want gratification. They want some, material gratification. But in spiritual life, what do we do with the senses? Once you come to Krishna consciousness, then what do you use the senses for?
Krishna service.
For Krishna's gratification. So in material consciousness, what do you use the senses for? For your own personal gratification. But in Krishna consciousness, do you stop using the senses? No. You're still using the senses, but you use the senses for Krishna's gratification. And it's said that lust, the definition of lust, according to the Vedas, is the gratification of your own senses. So you're trying to gratify or please your own senses. And the definition of love is the opposite to that, which is still gratification of the senses, as in that definition of love, but the gratification of whose senses? Krishna's senses. So lust means the gratification or pleasing our own senses, and love means the gratification or pleasing of God's senses, of Krishna's senses. So that's the difference. They're like diametric opposite. One person is pleasing their own senses and the other person is pleasing Krishna's senses. So that's the difference. And the nature of the soul is to have that love. You know, that's the nature of the soul, is that we are made for that purpose as part of Krishna, to please his senses. And then we would think, you know, just if you look at it with our mundane logic and reasoning, if I give everything for Krishna's senses, then what about me? That means I'm going to have nothing, right? If you materially calculate that. But it doesn't work out like that. Say if the hand, let's get back to our hand example, if the hand gives everything to the mouth, everything to the stomach, doesn't keep anything for itself, just surrenders everything to the mouth, to the whole body, does that mean the hand doesn't get anything?
No, hand will get nourished.
Hand will get nourished because, but the stomach has to get it first. The stomach has to get all the food first, and then automatically, you know, naturally, then the hand will get it, and it'll go to the ears and the legs, and you get the idea, right? It's going to get distributed everywhere. So it's compared that Krishna is like the root of a tree. He's like the root of the tree. Like if you want to water the tree, Gail knows this because she's a good gardener. If you want to water the tree, where do you put the water, Gail? Do you put it on the fruits or the flowers or the leaves, or where do you put it?
She make the hole in the bottom of the where the roots are and put the pipe in there, and the water goes all the way.
Yeah, you put the water on the roots, you know, so you put the water on the roots and then automatically the roots will transport it to all the leaves and the flowers. And, you know, say there's 1 million leaves on the tree. You don't have to water 1 million leaves. You just have to put the water on the one root and then it'll automatically go everywhere. So Krishna's like he's the root of everything. Let's look at very close to Gulshan's favorite 10:10. Let's look at 10:8. 10:8, and that explains Krishna as the source of everything. Gail, do you want to read that one?
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Yeah, so he's like the root, the source, the cause of everything, the cause of all causes. So if you just give it to Krishna, it's going to go everywhere. You know, it's going to go everywhere. Actually, in the 10th canto, there's a beautiful pastime where, well, it starts off a bit of a scary pastime because Indra gets very upset that his sacrifice is being stopped. Krishna instructs his father, advises his father, don't do a sacrifice to Indra, give the sacrifice to the cows and the brahmanas in Govardhan Hill. And so Nanda Maharaj does that, and Indra gets real peeved off, and then he brings these massive clouds over the top of Vrindavan and dumps, you know, tons of rain on their heads, and the whole land floods, and Krishna saves them by lifting Govardhan Hill for 7 days, and then Indra realizes he's blown it, this is his boss, and then he takes the clouds away. And then afterwards, he apologizes to Krishna when Krishna's by himself later on. He's really his false ego has been smashed, and he's really really feeling very embarrassed at what he did, his bad behavior. And then he like says these beautiful prayers to Krishna, and then it said Indra, his transportation is an elephant named Airavata. It's a really special elephant. It can fly in the sky and all these kind of things, and it has like 4 tusks, and you know, it's like as powerful as 10,000 ordinary elephants and everything. But anyway, he got his elephant to give Krishna a bath with the nectarian transcendental Ganges. So then he had a nice elephant bath. Krishna was given a bath with the Ganges water, which was a very nice service. And then also one of the cows from the heavenly planets named Sarabi had come there to that place to also worship Krishna. And she was so pleased that Krishna had saved all the cows, because he didn't just save all the people from being drowned, he saved the cows. Actually, cows suffer a lot in a flood because they can't escape, especially if they're stuck in paddocks with fences. They can't swim. Cows can't swim. So they'll drown, you know. So she's like the mother of all the cows on earth. So she came to, you know, say thank you to Krishna for saving all of her daughters and sons and that. And then she bathed Krishna with her milk. And so Krishna was pleased. Krishna was pleased by the service Indra did and Mother Cow. And it said a miracle happened at that time. It said that all the mountains just produced tons of minerals and precious metals and stones and that are very useful for humanity. And honey just started to pour out of the trees, out of the beehives. You know, you didn't even have to break the beehive. It's just pouring out of the beehive, such an amazing amount of honey. And like the grains just started to like pump out of the earth, tons of rice and wheat and everything. And milk just started to pour out of the cow's milk bags. You don't even need to pull it by hand or a machine or anything, just pouring out of the milk bags. And it says above and beyond all these miracles is that creatures that are normally envious of each other and enemies of each other, like, for example, a tiger and a deer, they're normally not good friends. Normally they're like enemies, but they became friends. So even envious creatures became friends. And what was the only thing to create all these amazing results? What was the only thing that had changed? The only thing that changed was that Krishna was pleased. You know, so if we can just do one thing, please Krishna, then our life's successful, your family's life successful, the humanity's successful, you know, the animals are benefited, everything's benefited, the Mother Earth's benefited. And if you do everything, what's that?
Everything in place.
Yeah, everything gets sorted out automatically. And if you do everything else except for pleasing God, you please yourself, please your family, please the society, which you can't do that anyway, but even if you could, you know, please all the animals, please all the birds, but still it wouldn't work if you ignored Krishna. You know, we have to get the central point right, you know. It's like, you know, put food in the ear, put it in the eye, put it up your nose, put it in your bum, you know, it's not going to work. The only way you have to put it in the mouth.
Yes.
So like that. I mean, you can. I mean, like in a hospital, they might put food up your backside or something, but it's not normal. That's like a disease condition, you know.
That's
like
an exit.
Yeah, that's not the normal way of, you know, putting the food in there. You know, so that's a painful
medical reason, different story.
What's that?
Medical reasons, sometimes they put the camera down there to check it and all that thing.
Yeah, but you know, that's not very pleasant and not very normal. You know, there's only one normal way to do it, and that's through the mouth. And that's like, so that this is the way to make everyone happy, is just by pleasing Krishna. And if we do everything except for that, it's not going to work. And Prabhupada mentions, like in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the introduction there, that there's been so many advancements of human society in the terms of technology and science and so forth, but we have ignored Krishna, we've ignored God. So therefore, he says there's a pinprick in human society. And he said, and what does he say ultimately the pinprick is he said there's no unity. I'm letting that sink in for a minute. There's no unity. That's means you're not going to be happy. What do we have today? Massive disunity. We've got Palestinians against Israelites, and you know, Ukrainians against Russians, and black against white, and Christians against you know other Christians, and you know, against other religions, Muslims against everyone else, and blah blah blah, you know. And there's so much fighting and quarreling. What does Kali mean? Do you know the meaning of Kali? The Sanskrit word Kali. The age we live in is called the age of Kali. Kali means
Kali
quarrel.
Yuga.
It means
Oh,
quarrel. Quarrel means fighting, you know, and it also means hypocrisy. It's the age. These are the symptoms of Kali Yuga: quarrel and hypocrisy, like that.
It,
You know,
it has to be
even in religious organizations, there's so much hypocrisy. You know.
in Kali Yuga supposed to be like that. Otherwise, it's gonna be a Dwapar Yuga or Sat Yuga. Kali Yuga has never been like that. So
Yeah, but the point we have to trace out is why that's there, and that's there because we've turned away from Krishna. We've turned away from God. Like Prabhupada. I mean, people would say, you know, to Prabhupada, how do we deal with the crime problem? How do we deal with the, you know, with the social problems? How do we deal with the financial problems, with the health problems, and so many? Prabhupada always gave the same answer. There's only one answer. He said all these problems caused a godless society, godless civilization, and it's the same solution, that we have to come back to God. We have to come back to Krishna, and that's why Prabhupada, you know, named his magazine Back to Godhead. So we have to come back to God. You know, we've gone away from God. You know, I mean, if your parents are super rich and somehow you get tossed out of home, then it's going to be hard, isn't it? It's going to be hard. It's hard life. And Gail was telling me about that. It's hard, isn't it? You know, super rich people, and then you get tossed out, and then it's a hard life. You know, and Gail's had to work very hard. You know, but if you could get back to those rich parents, then life becomes easy. You know, I'm the same. I have very rich parents. I got tossed out. Well, yes. Well, not really tossed out.
Your choice. You choose.
No, yeah, I didn't get tossed out. I left them. You know, so, but in my case, I didn't suffer because I went to the ultimate rich parents. I went to Krishna. You know, so I came under Krishna's shelter, so I didn't. But you know, you could see materially speaking.
If you do have a choice, you can stay with your parents and continue Krishna consciousness, because the place doesn't really matter. You are in New Zealand or Vrindavan. If you are Krishna conscious, you are Krishna conscious.
No, that wouldn't have worked because my parents are anti-Krishna, you know. So, but the point is, and Prabhupada makes, is that it's like, you know, if you're with, you know, if you have very rich parents and you're with them, then everything you need is going to be there. And if you lose that shelter, then it becomes very hard. So it's like that. When we've come away from Krishna, life is very hard. But if we come back to Krishna, then it's like being with the rich parents, and life becomes easier. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that solves all the problem. Otherwise, it's very complicated. Then you have to work out, find a solution to the crime problem, find a solution to the, you know, the environmental crisis, the health crisis. There's so many crises, and they're like band-aids. You're not really solving anything. You're not really solving anything, you know. We are no closer to solving the crime problem now than we were 50 years ago. Actually, 50 years ago, the American government were talking with Prabhupada how to solve crime. And the governments are still talking about the same problem today. So they haven't come any closer. Prabhupada gave the solution 50 years ago. Turn back to Krishna. You know, serve Krishna. But they don't want to do that. That's the thing. But if you don't want to come back to Krishna, well, sorry, mate, we can't help you. We can't help. There's no other solution. There's no other way, you know. There's no other way to satisfy the body than put it in the mouth. If you don't want to put it in the mouth, well, sorry, can't help you, mate. You can keep sticking up your backside, but you know, we can't help you. So that's the process, you know, like that. That is the process. Krishna is the source of everything. You have to give it to Krishna. But if you're in a rebellious condition, you don't want to do that. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. There's no other way. There's no other option. Let's look at another one. 7:7. These are all easy verses to remember today. 7:7. 7.7.
O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearl are strung in on a thread.
Beautiful example Krishna gives. Just like here we have our neck beads.
Yeah.
Say that, I don't know how many's in here, but say there's, 150 beads in here, and it's got one string, right? 150 beads, one string. If you pull the string out, what happens?
Bean will pull apart all the beans.
Scattered, right?
Yeah.
Everything's held together by one string. Krishna's like that one string. If you remove Krishna from the equation, there's nothing left. It's all chaos. It's all scattered. If Krishna withdrawed his energy out of this material world, out of our lives, there's nothing left. It's just all smashed. Everything. Like Krishna says a few verses in front of this, 7.4 and 7.5, Krishna tells what his energies are in this material world. 7.4 and then 7.5.
Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and fall ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energy.
Yeah. And Gail, you want to read 5?
Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine which compromises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature.
Yeah, so that's all there is. Yeah, that's all there is in the material world. There's matter and spirit, and all of that's Krishna's energy. So there's nothing other than Krishna, and Krishna's holding it all together. If Krishna withdraws that energy, there's nothing left. You don't have a body, you don't have a family, you don't have a house, you don't have a planet to stand on, you don't have an earth, you don't have any air to breathe, you don't have any sunshine, and even you don't exist, without Krishna, because he says there's a superior energy, the soul. And it's only because of the soul's presence that matter is animated, that matter works. Because as soon as the body leaves, as soon as the soul leaves the body, what do you call that situation?
Dead body.
That's dead, So actually the body's always dead, but it seems like it's alive because there's a soul in it. So, and that soul is Krishna's energy. So if Krishna just snaps his fingers or even thinks about it and just pulls that out, everything's like, nothing will remain. There'll be nothing. It'll just be like a void. There's just nothing exists. Even space is Krishna's energy. Even you won't have space. Even you won't have a void. So it's all Krishna's energy. So, and the devotee is that person that has this knowledge. We know that. This is why this chapter is called the most confidential knowledge. This is the highest knowledge. To know that everything is Krishna's energy, everything is resting on him, depending on him. He's the source of everything. And then automatically following on from that, automatically will surrender. Why don't we surrender to God and put the food in the mouth? Is because we're ignorant. But as soon as you become enlightened by this, King of Knowledge, as we're reading in this 9.2, King of Knowledge, as soon as we get that topmost knowledge, you realize there's nothing except for Krishna. Well, I surrender. There's nowhere else. There's nowhere to go. Where are you going to go where there's no Krishna? There's nowhere. Everything is Krishna's energy. So then automatically that surrender will be there. Early in the 10th chapter, there's a beautiful verse about that. Let's have a look. Early in the 10th chapter. In the middle of the 10th chapter. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's there. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. One knows this knowledge. See if we can find it.
47% should be okay.
In chapter. Just give me a sec. Let me see. Oh, yeah. 7. 10th chapter, text 7.
One who is factually convinced of opulence and mystic power of mind, engaged in unalloyed devotional service, of this there is no doubt.
So once we become factually convinced of this opulence. Like these are opulences that everything in the material world is Krishna's energy. This is his opulence. That everything is his. That all beauty comes from him, all strength comes from him, all the intelligence comes from him, everything comes from him. When you become factually convinced about everything comes from him, and then it says, if you have the factually convinced about all these things, then they engage in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. So 100% guaranteed, if we become full of this knowledge that everything comes from Krishna, he's the source of everything, then automatically as a result of that, we'll engage in devotional service. So someone's not engaged in devotional service means they're not convinced yet. They're not convinced about this knowledge yet. So they just need some more conviction, so we need to hear more. It means we need to hear more. So, 9 processes of devotional service. What's the first one?
Shravanam.
Shravana means hearing. So we have to hear. So why is it so important to hear? Because we need to get this knowledge. We need to hear this knowledge. And then slowly you get more faith, more conviction, more faith. Conviction means faith. So you get more faith, more conviction. And then from that, then automatically you'll surrender and actually do it. You'll actually do it like that. But it has to start from faith. You have some faith. Like we have faith, isn't it? If I become a naturopath, I'll become happy. If I own a Gloria Jeans franchise, I'll be happy. Or if I make a garden, I'll be happy. So we have some faith, isn't it? Before you started the Gloria Jeans, do you actually know for sure it's going to make you happy? Before you start the naturopath course, do you know? Before you begin the garden, do you know it's going to, result? No, but you have some faith. Definitely have faith. So there has to be some faith. Everyone has some faith. Some people might say, no, I don't have faith. But no, everyone has faith.
A farmer, he put the seeds there to get his crop, and the rain doesn't come on time.
Yeah.
Or maybe sun doesn't, and then his crops get wasted. Where's his faith gone then? He had a faith.
So his faith might get hurt. Faith might get hurt.
And then there is a faith that's got a question mark then.
But faith means, you don't actually know what's going to happen at the end of but
he's hoping, if put the seeds in there to get a beautiful crop, and then I can sell it and get the food for my family. Or maybe roof top my head, and the rain doesn't come, it's just dry, and the faith starts shaking.
Yeah, but the point is, you would never even put a single seed in the ground if you didn't have faith that you're going to get some food for your family at the end of it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? But you don't know in the beginning what you're going to get out of it. Like you say, it might be a drought and nothing might grow. And so you don't know for sure, but you have faith. So the point is that everyone has some faith, but that we need to develop faith in Krishna. And the fact is that although, the weather might let us down or whatever, or the government might let us down.
The weather also Krishna anyway. Sun is Krishna, rain is Krishna, everything is Krishna.
No, well, it's Krishna's energy.
Of course, it's Krishna's energy.
But there's another thing that comes from Krishna too. Like if the children are naughty, what might the parents do?
They can teach them or maybe punish them.
Yep, punish them. So Krishna also punishes if we're naughty. And that might be through a drought. That might be through...
The poor farmer has to feed the family, and Krishna is punishing.
Yeah, but the point is there's a reason for that. Like, if the parents punish the child, there's a reason. It's not just for no reason, usually, unless they're crazy and drunk or something. But usually in normal parents, then there's a reason why they're punishing normally. Of course, in modern day parents, we can't use that example because they're not very normal. But traditionally, parents all love the children. And if they're punishing, it means because, they've misbehaved or something. So if we're suffering due to, our crops aren't growing or whatever, then we should understand that, we've been involved in doing something wrong. and therefore we're getting implicated in that. We're being implicated in that. So yeah, it's not by chance. So, you know, like I'm saying, it's very important to please Krishna, because if Krishna's not pleased, I mean, he'll also let you know about it. Isn't it? So, I mean, that's also part of the importance of pleasing Krishna. That because he is so powerful.
In America, that's why all the tornadoes coming, flood coming. He definitely not pleased in America.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea is if Krishna's pleased, you're going to be happy. And if he's not, you're going to be the opposite, which is obviously we don't want to suffer. So, you know, that's an added incentive to do that. Of course, many religions present it in that way, that you better surrender to Jesus, otherwise you're going to go to hell forever. So we don't generally present like that. And that's not our main motivation. I mean, that's intelligent to know that God is like supremely powerful. And if you mess around with him, he can seriously screw up your life. But so that is there. But we emphasize, that it's just natural to love him because we're part of him and we should cooperate with him. That's just like normal. And he's doing so much for us. So we should develop a loving relationship. So our main impetus for serving Krishna is not because we're afraid of him, but in Christianity or whatever, then that's their main way they do it. But we do it in a positive way, that it's just natural to have a loving relationship with him. But it is there that if you cross him, then he can correct you in a painful way. But that's not a massive problem anyway. As you know, we're not the body, so the drought just affects the body, and the disease affects the body, and old age affects the body, death affects the body. So, we don't have to, worry about that so much. Other people get very paranoid about suffering because they think they're the body. But for a devotee, we can tolerate a lot of that. We can tolerate. Like if it was a devotee farmer, if there was a drought, what would the devotee farmer be thinking?
Well, it's there's a two-edged sword. Means even if it's a devotee and if his family is dying from hunger, he will be definitely get the food from the family, rather than okay, if Krishna doesn't give the food for this season, me and my family will 6 months doesn't eat. It doesn't work that way. First thing first, he's gonna have a survival.
Sure, but if even you,
karma,
what's that, Gal?
Yeah, but she's thinking in bad karma.
Yeah, so a devotee would think that, I'm suffering, I deserve more worse. But Krishna very kindly has minimized my suffering. That sort of devotee takes it in a positive way. That I deserve worse than this, but Krishna's minimizing. And the devotee will just tolerate. He'll just tolerate. Let's look at chapter 2, text 14. Text 14. And this is Krishna's recommendation of how we should deal with suffering in this world, how we should respond to suffering.
O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance is due cause, are like the appearance and disappearance of the winter and the summer season. They arise from sense perception, O Scion or Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Yeah, so this is how a devotee responds to it. We just have to tolerate it.
And Gail is about to leaving. She packed her Bhagavad Gita without even asking me, why are you leaving?
That's okay. No, don't be like that.
So he knows why I'm leaving, because I have a patient at 4 o'clock.
No, that's all good. We're happy. We're happy we got to see you.
Yeah. I know you got a cake. It doesn't mean you can drop the glasses.
I have a present.
It's a cake.
Yum. Thank you.
Yummy.
Yum.
In my tummy.
Thank you.
Yes, carrot cake.
I'm so sorry I have to go.
No, not at all. We have to do our duties.
Yeah.
We have to do our duties. That's one of the lessons.
Sorry. One day you will depart, go from the planet as well.
True. I won't see you next week. I'll be
okay.
away, but the following week, and then that's it.
You better do it on your phone because
Yeah, I know.
because first week of November I'm start traveling. So
Yes.
where's she gonna attend the class?
Okay.
I will.
Just take it day by day.
Okay.
Okay, take care, Gail.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome. Thanks for joining in. See you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for my cake.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Oh, nice. Okay, let's read through the purport now.
Okay, where were we? Like how many
9 2.
paragraphs?
We've been to so many verses. We've been a whole trip through the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Let's 9 chapter text 2 purport.
But where did we start the purport or halfway through?
Yeah,
or
we have.
started?
Yeah, well,
So-
yeah. Let's. I remember where it was. It's about halfway through.
Third paragraph.
Less than halfway. It says it is said. It is said that
Oh yeah, and
the execution.
it is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the result directly. This direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, in course of chanting without offense feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly become purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Furthermore, if one engaged not only in hearing but in trying to broadcast the message of devotional activities as well, or if he engaged himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feels spiritual progress. This advancement in spiritual life does not depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that by simply engaging in it, one becomes pure. In the Vedanta Sutra 3.2.26, this is also described in following words: Prakashascha karmanya abhyasat. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. Practical example of this can be seen in previous life of Narada, who in the life happened to be son of maid servant. He had no education, nor was he born into the high family, but when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada also became engaged, and sometimes in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself, Narada personally says. In this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.25, Narada described his previous life to his disciple Vyasadeva. He says that while engaging as a boy servant for those purified devotees during the 4 months of their stay, he was intimately associating with them. Sometimes those sages left remnant of food on the dishes, and the boy who would wash their dishes wanted to taste the remnant. So he asked the great devotees for their permission, and when they gave it, Narada ate those remnant and consequently become freed from all sinful reaction. As he went on eating, he gradually became as pure-hearted as the sage. The great devotee relished the taste of unseen devotional service to the Lord by hearing and chanting, and Narada gradually developed the same taste. Narada says further, by associating with that sage, Narada got the taste for the hearing and chanting the glory of the Lord, and he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in the Vedanta Sutra, Prakyacha karmaya abhyat, if one is engaged simply in the act of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically and he can understand. This is called pratyaksha, directly perceived.
Okay, let's
The
stop there
word-
for now. I'll just mention a few things about this. So this is, Prabhupada's talking about this stuff because in the verse it says that it's the perfection of religion because you get direct perception of the self by realization. So it means we can experience the results of love for God. We can see God. We can experience God through this process. It's not just like I was talking about faith before, but it's not just always going to be faith. It means just believing that Krishna exists, but you don't know for sure. It starts off that, yeah, you don't know for sure. You just have some faith. But as soon as you start the process, which the examples given of the life of Narada Muni, then what process did he follow? That he associated with devotees. He took their prasadam remnants. He heard them talking about Krishna. And what was the result of him following that process is that he came to the point where he could directly see Krishna. He could directly see Krishna. So then it's not just a matter of you got faith in Krishna, but you're seeing Krishna. So that's the beauty of this process, that you start with faith, but it brings you to the point, if you follow the process, that you'll actually experience Krishna. Like Prabhupada said, one day you'll be able to see Krishna and talk with Krishna and give a garland to Krishna and give some food to Krishna. It's like becomes a direct experience, a direct relationship. So that's the beauty of this. It's not like in many religions where just believe in Jesus, just believe in God, and then you may go to God or whatever, but you just have to believe in it. So it's more than just belief. But what you have to do is, see, this is not a process of just what your belief is, but what are you practicing? So it means activities. See, a lot of religions, it's just about belief. You believe in God. You have faith in God, but you're not actually doing anything. But this process of bhakti yoga means activities. You have to do activities that are pleasing to God. And then when he's pleased, then he reveals himself. So that's the difference. That this process will give us a direct experience of God means you'll 100% be convinced because you can see God. Like I know you exist, Gulshan, because I can see you. I can, be with you, and vice versa. It's not just, I'm believing in Gulshan exists, but I've never seen him. It's not like that. So that's the difference. It brings you to the point where you can have direct experience of God as existing like that. So it's very powerful. And a great example of Narada Muni, how he went from no experience of God to having full experience of God, after following that process. Does that make sense? Do you want to say anything about that?
No, perfectly. Narada Muni is great. Association, eating the remnant.
And then of course, through this hearing about God, chanting God's names, having prasadam, associating with devotees, all these things will bring us to the point.
Immediately he get transcendental.
Yeah. And then, of course, the result of having direct experience of God is complete happiness. And that's what we we're talking about before. What's our goal? We want to be happy. But what's the real way to be happy is be directly connected with God. Because, and why does it make us happy to see Krishna? He's the most beautiful person. He's the most beautiful person. We think our, partner, girlfriend or whatever is beautiful, unless and until we come to Krishna. When you come to Krishna, then you realize there's no real beauty, worthwhile seeing other than Krishna.
Somebody having the, the good CEO job. Okay, then I'll be happy. Yes, you got a CEO job. And then what happened? That next year his company get liquidated. Your job is finished. You're distressed.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Krishna will never finish.
Yeah.
And then Krishna says, my devotee will never perish.
Yeah.
There's failure is not an option.
Yeah.
No chance. Once you go in the Krishna consciousness, it's like a one way. I think it's like a more you go deeper in there, and more you get more happier. I mean,
for sure.
in the ocean, you can see the ocean. Yes, you can feel happy. Once you jump in there, you feel much better. Once you
Mm.
go more deeper in there,
Mm.
then you'll see, wow, you can see the sea, the corals, and you can see like, the Great Barrier Reef. When you have to go down, I went there actually 2 years ago. It was like I was in the joint swimming pool and right under there. And then, I seen that it's like you cannot explain the beauty. So more
Yeah.
you get deeper, same in the Krishna consciousness, you may not
Yeah.
be explained that, but
Yeah.
you'll be happy.
Nice example. Nice example.
Yeah, true. More and more deeper. That's only
And,
right.
and Krishna says in the 10th chapter later on that all these beautiful things in the material world, like what you're explaining under the ocean, everything, he said it's but a spark of my splendor.
Yes.
But a spark of my splendor. So we think, wow, it's so beautiful under the ocean, everything. But that's just a tiny fraction of the ultimate
imagine you
beauty.
got a whole picture.
Imagine what Krishna's beauty is. It's like unlimited. Unlimited. Like the gopis, they prayed that they wish they had millions of eyes, because when they saw Krishna, they could realize that 2 eyes is not enough to enjoy how beautiful Krishna is.
Yeah,
They wish they had millions of eyes, and they said 1 tongue is not enough to glorify Krishna. They wish they had thousands of tongues. And they said that 2 ears is not enough. They wish they had millions of ears to hear the nectar of Krishna's names. They were enjoying so much. So it's just unlimited. But all these things, like we look out and we see some beautiful sunrise or sunset or some meadow of flowers or like under the ocean like that, that's just a tiny fragment of all
tip of the iceberg.
Beauty. Tip of the iceberg. Imagine you see the whole iceberg.
Whole iceberg.
It's going to be an overload.
And that's
why, and that's why when a devotee finally sees Krishna, they'll faint. They'll just fall unconscious. It's just an overload for the senses.
Because you know why? Because they only 20 watt, and then Krishna is like a 10,000 watt. Of course, they're gonna get fined.
Blows all the circuits, yeah.
Yeah, blows all the circuits.
Beautiful.
You got 20 watt, and then Krishna is 10,000 watt. You got no chance. You're gonna blow up. You're gonna get fined.
Like one time when Krishna came to the material world 5,000 years ago, Kamdev, Cupid, saw him for just a fraction of a second, and he fell unconscious. He's the most beautiful person in the material world, Kamdev. Most beautiful person. But when he saw Krishna's beauty, then he passed out. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, let's read some more.
Okay, let's read some more. Okay.
The word
Dharma means the path of religion. Narada was actually a son of mid-servant. He had no opportunity to go to the school. He was simply assisting his mother, and fortunately, his mother rendered some service to the devotees. The child Narada also got the opportunity and simply by association achieved the highest goal of all religion. The highest goal of all religion is devotional service, as started in Srimad Bhagavatam via pamsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokde. Religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of the religion is attainment of devotional service. As we have already discussed in regard to the last verse of chapter, Vatsu Yagyanu Taptu Chaiva. Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for self-realization, but here, although Narada never went to the school of the spiritual master and was not educated in the Vedic principle, he acquired the highest result of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. How is this possible? This is all confirmed in Vedic literature. Achavam Purusho Veda, one who is in association with great acharyas, even if he is not educated or has never studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for realization. The process of devotional
So
service.
yeah, this is saying that it's such a beautiful process because when you do devotional service, like we were saying, Krishna's pleased. If Krishna's pleased, he gives you the knowledge. So saying, even though Narada didn't have a guru, went to Gurukul, he didn't get any, material education, but he became so enlightened because he did devotional service. So devotional service is the real education. It's the ultimate education. And through that, you can become completely enlightened, and in all kinds of knowledge because Krishna's pleased. So you could even just by cleaning the floor of the temple or washing the Krishna's pots, you could become more enlightened than any PhD or anyone like that. You would have more knowledge because Krishna's pleased by your humble service. And then even without any material qualifications or education, you become more than even the greatest scholar by that process. Such a beautiful process. And Narada was only 5 years old. I mean, how many 5-year-olds do you know that are like fully enlightened? Generally.
He was just following his mother. Mother says that do the service, and sometimes mother's not there. He was doing that. He's just following his mother. Whatever mother's dictating to do the service for the devotees, and but he was just following that. He didn't know he's going to get transcendental knowledge.
Well, actually, after they spent time with those sages, his mother died when he was 5. His mother died when he was 5 because she got bitten by a snake when she was out doing some work one day. She got bitten by a snake and she died. So then he was left alone as a 5-year-old. And what did he do? Did he freak out? No, he immediately remembered what he'd heard from these sages and he started to practice what they had told him to do. He was practicing that. So he became fully enlightened even as a 5-year-old, even without a mother and no other support, but he just put into practice what he'd heard from those great sages, and he became fully enlightened. And then in due course of time he died. And then when he took his next birth, he was Narada Muni. So he came out, he was one of called Manasaputra. He was born from the mind of Lord Brahma. So that was his next birth. That 5-year-old child, he got enlightened, he practiced devotional service, and then he died, and then next life he was born out of the mind of Lord Brahma and became known as Narada Muni, the great, transcendental spaceman, sage. So yeah, that's the power of devotional service. And he didn't have any material education or anything like that. He was, like that. So not materially educated, but became so great just by following the path of devotional service. How do you want to continue?
Okay, the process of devotional service is very happy one. Susukham. Why? Devotional service consists of Sarvam, Kirtanam, Vaishnava. So one can simple hearing chanting of the glory of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lecture on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn, then one can eat the remnant of the food offered to the god. Nice, palatable dishes in every state. Devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition.
Poverty-stricken means poor.
Poor, yeah. The Lord says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. He's ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what, even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little bit of water, which is all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person, regardless of social position, and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances in history simply by tasting the tulsi leaf offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, great sage like Sanat Kumara become a great devotee. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice and it can be executed in happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to Him. It is said here that devotional service is internally existing. It is not as Mayavadi philosopher claims, although they sometimes take to call devotional service, so-called devotional service. Their idea is that as long as they are not liberated that will continue their devotional service. But at the end, when they become liberated, this will become one with God. Such temporary time serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Actually, devotional service continue even after liberation. When the devotee goes to spiritual planet in the kingdom of God, he is also engaged. There is a serving the Supreme Lord. He does not try to become one with the Supreme Lord.
Okay, let's just stop there for a sec. There's a couple points. So
Yeah.
the first one is that, yeah, it's saying, this verse is saying that it's a joyful process. So Prabhupada's pointing out, well, what is the process? We just hear about God, you know, sit down and learn about God, and then one can eat the remnants of food offered to God, nice palatable dishes. So it means it's such a nice process. We don't have to stand on our head or tippy toes or do big austerities. We don't have to give huge amounts of charity and you know, do very difficult things, go to the forest and leave our family and just be naked and fasting and everything like that. It's a very easy, joyful process, and it's just, even the process itself, forget about the result, which is we experience God, but even the process itself is very nice. There's nothing to lose, nothing to lose. One time a reporter asked Prabhupada, what if there is no Krishna? And Prabhupada gave an interesting answer. He said, even if there was no Krishna, I would still do the same things. Chanting, dancing, feasting, you know, hearing a bit nice talks about Krishna. And the activities themselves are so nice. But of course there is Krishna. That's impossible that Krishna's not there. But even the activities that we're doing are such good activities. Singing and dancing and feasting, like, you know, like we did Friday night, right? Friday nights at the Bhakti Tree everyone was so happy. The activities were so nice. You sit down, hear some nice music, join in, participate, singing, have a nice meal at the end of it, sit together with your friends and, you know, to have a talk and everything like that. It's such an enjoyable process. Nothing difficult, no hardships. You don't need to be rich. And that's another point Prabhupada makes, is that to serve Krishna, you don't have to give him very expensive things. It can be just like it Prabhupada said, a leaf or a flower, and Krishna says that in 926 in the Bhagavad Gita. He quotes that patram puspam phalam toyam. So even you can just give, even the poorest person can give Krishna some water, a flower. And the main point, like Prabhupada mentions, is with love. You know, the main thing Krishna wants from us is love. He doesn't need millions of dollars or whatever. However, if someone is a millionaire, that would be wrong to give only a flower and a bit of water. If you were a millionaire or whatever and you have a lot of stuff, you should give more like that. So, because you can't cheat Krishna as well. One time Prabhupada said, Krishna doesn't see what you give, but he sees also what you don't give. Means if you go and give him $1, but Krishna knows you've got, you know, 10 crore in your bank account, and you come and give him $1, 1 rupee, then Krishna's not going to be very impressed. But imagine you're a poor person and all he has is 1 rupee and he gives 1 rupee. So just let me give this example. If a poor person has 1 rupee and he gives 1 rupee, and a rich person comes in, he's got 10 crores, and say he gives 5 lakhs. So which is better? The person that gave 5 lakhs to Krishna, or the person that gave 1 rupee from Krishna's point of view? 1 rupee. Why?
Because he gave it 100%.
He gave 100%. The other guy gave 1%. You know, so Krishna sees that.
For himself.
Yeah. But of course, the point is here, even if you are a poor person, that you can still please Krishna, even by giving him things that are freely available. Like that, it's no problem. But yeah, so according to whatever we have, we should give that. You know, so it's even said, you know, if you've got money, you can give money. If you don't have money, but say you've got a strong body, you can use your body. You know, like I said, clean the floor, wash the pots. If you don't have a strong body, you can do like me, talk a lot. You know, just talk about Krishna. Use your mouth. You know, use your tongue, and you know, like that. So, and you can, and it's also mentioned you can engage your intelligence. So you can engage your wealth or your body or your intelligence or your words. There's many different ways you can serve Krishna. If you don't have much intelligence, but you've got a good body, use that. If you've got good intelligence, but your body doesn't work very well, use that. You know, so whatever you have, you can offer that to Krishna with love, and, you know, he'll accept it. And if you give him lots of stuff, but there's no love, well, that's not doesn't mean much to him. Because does he need the money? Does he need the temple? Does he need the food? He's not hungry. He's not poor. You know, he's got hundreds and thousands of goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, serving him like
everything is his anyway.
Yeah. It's like, you know, how are you going to please, you know, a millionaire? It's very hard.
Yeah, if millionaire, you give it like $1, you know, and he says,
doesn't mean anything.
But if you give with the love,
give with the love, yeah, that's the thing. Give with the love. So that's all they want is love, you know. So he doesn't need the material things. But this is just how we show our love. How do you show you love someone? You do something for them. You know, I'll give you some flowers. I'll take you out for dinner. I'll, you know, take you for a walk on the beach. You know, like that. You know, so you
even like, you know,
that feeling that. Yep.
When the kids do something for their parents, even if they have like, you know, if they're like, you know, 5-7 year old, and they make the you know, the rotten paper, making their Father's Day card with the, you know, the broken hand and the broken handwriting and things like that, how the parents are so pleased because the intention was so pure, same as us. We are the children, he is the father. No matter, I don't know how to pray, I don't know how to offer, I don't know how to cook, but whatever I do, it's yours, Krishna. That's it. And then he'll accept. You know?
Yeah, that's a great example.
Like, I've got no qualities to offer him anything.
Yeah.
And
even Prabhupada mentions even a step further. Even, you know, that child doing the card with the broken writing and everything. Where did that card come from? Where did the pencils come from?
From the parents.
From the parents as well. So even the ingredients of the gift comes from them anyway.
Intention was the purest. That's why the parents are happy.
And it's far out. Like, do you know the method of Ganga Puja? How do you worship Ganga Mata? What's the process of worshiping Ganga?
I don't know the process. I know in the Kashi they do that, in Varanasi.
Yeah. The process of doing Ganga Puja is you take a palm full of Ganges water in your hand and offer it back to Ganga.
Yeah.
So it's coming from Ganga and you're giving back to Ganga. So Ganga is not gaining anything, losing anything.
All the food is given by Krishna anyway. All the wheat and atta and dal and rice. All from.
So then one might say, well, one might say that's stupid. You know, why are you just giving the Ganges back to the Ganges? But no, it's not stupid, because what are you giving is that intention, is that love.
Your love.
You know, that feeling of wanting to give, because that's what love is. You want to give, and then you receive also. So it's two ways. Love is two ways. So we're giving to someone else, and someone else is giving to us, and then we're taking it. So it's a two-way thing. So, but it's that intention that we want to give something to Ganges, or we want to give to Krishna. That is the main thing. But if you don't want to give, then that means there's no relationship. There's no relationship. There's no love. You don't want to give anything to anybody.
It's always two-way.
One time there was one sadhu went to a creep in his house, a very miserly person's house, and he came to the door, put out the begging cloth, which is the sign, you know, please give something, and the rich creep in, a miser, said, wait a minute, I'll get something for you. And then he went to his fireplace and got some hot ashes, and he dumped the hot ashes in the sadhu's cloth. And the sadhu was happy and smiling. And the Krippner was shocked because he was expecting he's going to get angry or go away or whatever like that. And the Krippner said, how can you be happy with what I just did to you? Horrible thing. And he said, because you are such a miser, you've never given anything to anybody in your whole life. This is the first time you've ever given something. So I'm very happy that you've started to give something. He wasn't considering what it was given, but just the fact that he gave something was good. That's one plus point, that he gave something. Of course, we should give something nice. We shouldn't do that, you know. So, but just that point is a very nice point, that we just got to start that process of giving, you know, because otherwise we're just selfish and there's no love in our life. We don't give anything to anybody. And that's what a Krippner means, very miserly. You have something of value, but you don't share it with anyone. Then that's a miser, that's Krippner. So devotee is supposed to be opposite of that, and that's a Brahmana. Brahmana means very broad-minded, very always giving knowledge, giving charity, whatever. You know, that's a Brahman. The opposite is a Krippner. They're very miserly, small-minded, like that. So very good points to try to understand and try to practice in our lives. And then the next point is Prabhupada talks about Mayavadis, because this verse says that this this devotional service is eternally existing. But the Mayavadis claim that devotional service is just temporary. Their idea is that, okay, we need to purify ourselves in order to remember that we're God. Their idea is that we're God, but we've forgotten that we're God. So we need to purify our existence so that we can remember that we're God. So that they might, even Mayavadis might practice some devotional service, chant some mantras and offer food and do worship the deities and stuff. But their idea is that I'm just going to do devotional service temporarily now while I'm, you know, conditioned by Maya and the material world. And when I get liberated from Maya, when I get free from illusion, then I won't do devotional service anymore because I'm going to become God. So their idea is that they're going to become God and that they won't do devotional service. But that's going against what this verse is saying, because this verse says that devotional service is eternal. So now I'm in the material body, I'm doing devotional service. And when I get out of the material world, get liberated, back in my spiritual form, I'm still going to be doing devotional service because it's eternal. It's not just a temporary thing, you know, until we, you know, go back to the spiritual world. So this is a wrong idea that they think that after they leave this body, there's not going to be any more devotional service and they're just going to become God. That's not a fact. That's eternal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that we're doing devotional service to get something else. We're doing devotional service to get more devotional service. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I'm chanting Hare Krishna now, and when I go to the spiritual world, I'm going to be doing something other than chanting Hare Krishna. No, we chant Hare Krishna now, and we chant Hare Krishna in the spiritual world. Do you know what the difference is between chanting Hare Krishna now and chanting in the spiritual world?
The spiritual world will be 10 times more effective.
Well, there'll be unlimitedly more love. That you'll be chanting Krishna's names with you know, absolute, you know, full love. Whereas now we often chant mechanically. You know, there's not, our heart's not so much in it. You know, we're just chanting because our guru has told us to chant and stuff like that. So we might be a bit mechanical or whatever. But the difference is that in the spiritual world, we're chanting just spontaneously. We're chanting just so naturally, spontaneously, with love for Krishna. And when we chant in the spiritual world, will be tears coming from our eyes. And sometimes we'll fall unconscious on the ground in ecstasy. And like that, it'll just be with pure love. But the devotional service is now and is later. It's not going to stop. It's not I'm chanting, I'm doing devotional service so that I can do something else. No, it's devotional service is always there. It's just the degree of how much love we're doing it with. So there'll be more love in the spiritual world, like that. Okay, last paragraph.
Yeah.
Yep.
As will be seen in Bhagavad Gita. Actual devotional service begins after liberation. After one is liberated, when one is situated in the Brahma's position, Brahma Bhuta, one devotional service begins. Sama sarva bhatsu mat bhaktim labbate param. No one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or any other yoga independently. By these yogic methods, one can make a little progress towards Bhakti Yoga, but without coming to the stage of devotional service, one cannot understand what is the personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also confirmed that when one becomes purified by executing the process of devotional service, especially by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from realized souls, then he can understand the science of Krishna, the science of God. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogatsa. When one heart is cleared of all nonsense, then one can understand the God is. Thus, the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is the king of all education and the king of all confidence and knowledge. It is the purest form of religion, and it can be executed joyfully without difficulty. Therefore, one should adopt it. It's true.
So yeah, Prabhupada's like summarizing everything in this last paragraph, but it's making it clear here that Krishna can only be understood by bhakti, not by karma, jnana, yoga, and all these other processes. One has to ultimately come to the bhakti yoga to be able to realize God. So we're very fortunate, by the mercy of Prabhupada, has brought us to this beautiful process where we can realize God and find the ultimate happiness and joy in our life. And we're experiencing that to different degrees. You know, the happiness of devotional service and freeing us from so many of the anxieties and stresses that most people, you know, are going through. And an interesting point Prabhupada starts off is that actual devotional service begins after liberation. After one is liberated, when one is situated in the Brahman position, one's devotional service begins. So, what does that mean by after liberation? Does that mean after we die? Not necessarily. That after liberation means, because liberation means freed. After we're freed from what? So does it just mean freed from the body? It doesn't have to be.
He mentioned that here, from your mind, free from the contamination.
Yeah, contamination, yeah.
Yeah, that's in your mind. Then you feel like you're free, and then that's called the liberation.
Yeah. So Prabhupada explains in other places that when you get freed from this bodily conception of life, that we're thinking, I'm a Kiwi, I'm an Aussie, I'm an Indian, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm black, I'm white, you know, I'm a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, all these bodily designations, that you're not going to be able to engage in devotional service as long as you're identifying with the body. So you have to be liberated from those false ideas that I'm the body. And once you realize, like we said in the very beginning, that we're not the body, we're part and parcel of Krishna. We're an eternal soul, part and parcel of Krishna. I'm the servant of Krishna. So that consciousness is actually liberated consciousness. When you're freed from that bodily consciousness, as long as you're in bodily consciousness, you can't wholeheartedly take to devotional service. As soon as you let that go and understand, like, I think the main phrase that Prabhupada said the most was, you're not the body, you're a spirit soul. That is so important to understand that. People get bored of hearing Prabhupada say that, some people, but actually it's so important that Prabhupada said it again and again, because you can't actually take wholeheartedly to devotional service without realizing that. we have to realize that we're not the body, that we're a spirit soul. And then you're going to be able to do devotional service. As long as you're thinking the body, it means you're not understanding that you're part and parcel of Krishna.
Yeah.
So then you're not going to be able to surrender like that.
Yeah.
So that's the very first point we have to come to. You're not the body, you're a spirit soul. So that at that point when you realize you're a spirit soul, you're not the body, that's liberation. So it's not necessarily means liberation means when the body dies.
No.
You could still be in complete ignorance when the body dies. So that's got nothing to do with it. It's when you come to that understanding that I'm not the body, I'm Krishna's eternal servant. I'm a spirit soul, and the spirit soul is Krishna's eternal servant, part and parcel of Krishna, and that I should serve Krishna because I'm part of him. He's my master, I'm his servant. That's liberated consciousness. And from that point, and that's what's mentioned here as Brahmabhuta. That's called Brahmabhuta, the spiritual realization that I'm Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. I'm Brahman, I'm the spirit, I'm the soul. And then from that consciousness, then one can very enthusiastically, wholeheartedly engage in devotional service. As long as one's thinking I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm black, I'm white, all these things, I'm, whatever, Indian, Kiwi, whatever, then one can't do it. Can't do it. We have to come to that realization that I'm the eternal soul, I'm the servant of Krishna. And that's liberated. That's what liberated means.
Yeah.
Freed from that bodily consciousness. And then one can engage in devotional service, and then by that devotional service, then one can understand Krishna. So that's how we first of all we realize that we're not the body, that we're the servant of Krishna. Then when you actually start doing that service to Krishna, then like we said, Krishna is pleased with your service, like you're a 10-10, and then he gives you the understanding. Then you can understand him. So no one can understand God without doing devotional service, and no one can do devotional service unless they understand that they're not the body, that they're a spirit soul. Like many Hindus cannot take to devotional service because they think that they're Hindus. So you have to give up thinking you're a Hindu.
Yeah.
Many souls can't take devotional service because they think they're a Christian. So that mentality, thinking I'm a Christian, is stopping them from chanting Hare Krishna. So they can't chant Hare Krishna unless they stop thinking they're a Christian, because the Christian is the body, the Hindu is the body. But we're not a Christian, we're not a Hindu. We're a servant of Krishna, and a servant of Krishna has to chant Hare Krishna. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have to, like you said, purify the mind. So that mentality has to be changed. We have to get free from that materialistic mentality, like that. Otherwise, it's blocking us from doing devotional service.
It is actually.
Of course, we're still in a Kiwi body. We're still in a Hindu body or whatever, black body, white body. But that doesn't matter, we're in the body, but we don't have to identify with it. That's the thing. So the body's still going to do what the body does, eat, sleep, mate, and defend, or whatever. That's going to go on. That's not going to change. And still hang out with Christians, hang out with Hindus, or whatever it does. That's not going to change. But just you're detached from that idea. You realize you're separate from that. So all the bodily things are still going to go on just the same. Nothing's going to change.
Will happen. Yeah.
Yeah. But your consciousness is different. You realize that you're the soul. And your primary duty is to please Krishna, and then you find out what pleases him is to sing his names and so forth.
Beautiful.
And that's why devotees can live together harmoniously. If we were still thinking I'm a Christian and you're a Hindu and blah blah blah, I'm white, you're black, or whatever, we couldn't relate to each other. But we can relate to each other because we don't care. We don't care whether one's white or black or Hindu or Christian or an atheist or whatever.
Yeah, that's why I write it down in the book, Bhakti Tree sometime. Food is a common ground we all eat. No matter you're white, you're black, you're Hindu, you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Jewish, you all eat food. Is that correct? It means we are all one thing common we have got, eating the food.
Yeah.
is you maybe have a 2 chapati, I might have 1 chapati, still eat it. Even
Yeah.
the Queen Elizabeth, she don't eat the gold brick, she still eat the bread.
Yes.
So that's very common. That's why we are all like body. Like, one thing we do is like, all we are soul, and we soul in the body eat the
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
So why don't you understand? Rather than, oh, I'm a Japanese. Right. You're still eating the sushi, there's the rice. I'm eating rice in the boil. What's the difference?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. So we are all soul, and then
Yeah.
it's a different way.
So
to
we
explain.
have to find those common points. We have to find the common
Yes.
points. And although bodily there's so
We
many
all
differences, but spiritually
we-
we're the same. And we all need to eat, like what you're saying. So those things, we find those common points, then we can be united.
Then we
Then
can
there be
connect.
unity and harmony there.
Yeah, that's right.
And all of these problems in the world today is because this bodily concept.
That's
I'm
right.
a Jew, you're a Palestinian, I'm a Russian, you're a Ukrainian, whatever. Because of this absorbed in the different bodies, we create so many problems. But if we can find that common point, that we're all part and parcel of Krishna.
But these kind of problem was in the other yuga as well, or was other yuga too?
It was there. It was there. It's more increased in Kali Yuga because there's more ignorance. But always there's some ignorance there. But it's even become more accelerated in Kali Yuga. Yeah, like that. But everyone has some false ego in the material world in any yuga. But yeah, that false ego is become very deeply entrenched because of just a lack of culture and more ignorance like that. So yeah, it's completely out of control now. But yeah, we can still do something about it because Prabhupada has come to deliver us, and Lord Chaitanya has come to deliver us. Without Prabhupada, without Lord Chaitanya, we're goners, mate. We're complete goners.
I'll be circling.
No hope. We're what you call the mercy cases. They're just hanging down the rope, and you just got to grab it, mate. Just grab that rope. And there's no way we're going to get out of here unless someone drops the rope.
Because without Prabhupada, I'll be circling bird in the river. Never get out because there's no way.
Yeah.
Anyway, wonderful.
Yes. Lovely to catch up with you again.
Yeah, when are you coming next?
Yeah, let's see. We will whenever the mercy rope takes us over to Australia. Yeah.
Whenever.
Well, I mean, Mahabhadra, he said he was going to talk with Brett about inviting us to come over for the end of 10th anniversary of the Bhakti Tree. So, I mean, if they organise that.
Next in February?
Yeah, that's in February. He was saying if he could see if Brett would be keen to offer us a free ticket. So
he can. The Bhakti Tree and a temple, of course.
Yeah.
They can. It's just not it's just the tip of the iceberg. They got plenty. A couple of grand is nothing.
Yeah.
But it depends. It's not up to the bread. I think a higher authority, that Jayashree Mata.
Yeah. I know that. So anyway, we'll see. We'll always.
Yeah, it's okay.
We're just trying to tune in with what Krishna wants, and Krishna will direct us. Like I felt a strong calling to come over there to see Toshan and to be with you and stuff like that. So Krishna, my heart is like pulling me wherever he wants to pull me, to heaven or hell, wherever he takes me, heaven or hell. That's up to him.
If the Krishna design again, you will come again in February.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. But
I'm
happy to do service. Okay, you take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.